RMP. While it may sound like an engine's running speed, in this case, RMP, or Resource Management Plan, is the overarching document that guides a BLM field office on land policy decisions 15 years at a time. Right now, the next generation of those plans are speeding towards the public with the velocity of a Baja race car. Currently, in the 7 Rocky Mountain states, only 2 resource management plans are currently in the public comment phase, except in Utah. Currently, half of all the BLM land, over 11 million acres, is in a narrow window of seeking public comment, the only window in which you can make your voice heard and have an impact on what kind of recreation is available for the next decade and a half. 6 of Utah's 10 field offices are in comment periods, which end somewhere between the 30th of November and the 8th of February 2008, depending upon which area you're looking at. Whether you live in Utah, Nevada, or Montana, it's time for the backpackers to hang up the hiking shoes, the ORV enthusiasts to trailer their machines, and the horsemen to stable their steeds, in order to ensure your favored form of recreation will continue.
Our worst fear is that we won't have people express their concerns. We want to get the public's input on these plans because they are decisions that are going to be made that affect the public that use the public lands. We encourage everybody to get involved.
Each of the 6 field offices has already spent the better part of the last decade trying to balance the interests of environmental groups, ranchers, mineral and petroleum stakeholders, counties, the state, and user groups. Each office is required by law to present 5 draft alternatives for the public to comment on. At one end, the alternative plan restricts very little over current arrangements, and at the other, almost all activity is restricted. Somewhere in between these 2 extremes lies the preferred alternative, which is what the BLM plans to implement. In the preferred alternative plan, each user group wins something and loses something. For the backcountry hikers and environmentalists, some of those treasured lands they hoped would be included in future wilderness study areas are off the table and will be allocated for multiple use.
For the motorized group out there, it is going to be a definite shift going from, being able to drive pretty much wherever you wanted. We're not out there really designating any new roads or proposing building any new routes. There are some areas where routes could be closed due to some resource concerns.
Horseback riding and recreation is taking a hit right now in many places throughout the West and throughout the nation. Horseback riding opportunities are being seriously restricted.
The next few weeks will be the only opportunity to modify, sway, or change the direction of recreation across countless millions of acres of public land. Most users haven't responded, thinking that their comment will have little impact. But according to the BLM, that is just not true.
We're not counting how many people like a certain thing or how many people dislike a certain thing. What we're looking for is comments that might influence where the decision would go. We might have overlooked something. We might be able to enhance a certain activity and said, we never thought of how we could do that.
We are available to speak to anyone that has concerns and they're not sure how they should formulate that to us. They can call our office, speak to one of us. So we're always open to try to clarify things for the public.
If you look at the size of this document, it can be intimidating. Go to the preferred alternative. That's the alternative that the BLM is leaning towards adopting. And primarily expend your energy making suggestions based on that.
There is a preferred plan for all of the areas covering the eastern half of the state: Price, Vernal, Moab, Monticello, Richfield, and Kanab. The BLM is awaiting your input. Many past RMP decisions have been altered substantially on no more than 300 or 400 total comments. Your individual effort won't be wasted.
I've been involved in an extensive amount of public lands planning. I've personally experienced that when you put the time and the effort in to offer proposals based on facts, analysis, and good solid rationale, that the BLM has been responsive in modifying their planning. Conversely, if you don't do it, but some other public lands interest with a philosophy different than yours does do it, you'll come up on the losing end of federal lands planning.
And 15 years is a long time to wait for your next chance. From the Trailhead, I'm Chad Booth.